For this reason, I bow my knees before the Father, from whom every family in heaven and on earth is named, that according to the riches of his glory, that he will grant you to be strengthened with power through his Spirit in your inner being, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith, that you, being rooted and grounded in love, may have the strength to comprehend with all the saints what is the breadth and the length and the height and the depth, and to know that the love of Christ that surpasses all knowledge, that you will be filled with the fullness of God. Now to him who is able to do far more abundantly than all that we ask or think, according to the power at the work within us, to him be the glory in the church and the Christ and the Jesus throughout all generations, forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians 3:14-21.
And Jesus answered them, "Truly I tell to you that if you have faith and you do not doubt, you will not only do what has been done to the fig tree, but even if you say to this mountain, be taken up and be thrown into the sea, it will happen. And whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive if you have faith." Matthew 21:21-22.
The stories you are about to hear are the account of real people with real stories. No exaggeration, no fluff. Share with permission.
I've got a story to tell.
I started smoking as a kid, about 12 years old. Decades and decades of nicotine took their toll, and by the time I got my lung cancer diagnosis, it was stage 4. As you can imagine, stage 4 means that your cancer is advanced. Now, the word cancer is scary enough, but stage 4 means that you will be partaking in treatments that are aggressive and extensive. I needed a miracle. So my church and my family came alongside me, believing and praying for restoration and healing. And can I tell you that every step of the way, God has provided and protected me? He is a miracle worker. And today, 9 years later, I can tell you that God is real, He is able, and He is faithful. My name is Trina, and I am a living, breathing miracle.
When I was diagnosed with cancer, I was completely blindsided. I didn't know how to feel or what to do, but I trusted Him. I had so many questions for the Lord, but He's always faithful. I had my church family join with me in praying for healing and restoration in my body, and I leaned into His promise that He will always be with me. Can I tell you that the Lord drew so near to me? He gave me His undeniable peace the entire time. My pastors prayed with me, my healthcare staff, for favor through my treatment and knowledge known to do the right thing. I was surrounded by people who had walked that road before, giving me guidance and support. I stand here today in complete remission from the cancer that blindsided me. I know that God is a healer because He is my healer. My life is a testimony to the fact that He can still do impossible things. My name is Doug, and I'm a living, breathing miracle.
Growing up with parents that struggle with addiction, I worked extremely hard in school to earn scholarship money for college. I knew I wanted an education, so I gave my all to graduate honors, and I did. But when it came time to hand out scholarship money, my information had been misplaced, and the university ran out of funds before my application even came up. I had no idea what to do. But I did know that God had called me to my family, my church, and to this university. So I gave the situation to God and asked for His provision. Soon enough, I got a call from a man I didn't even know, and he had heard my testimony on social media, and he reached out to me regarding the fall semester. Do you want to know what he said? He said he wanted to pay for my books, my schooling, my supplies, my living expenses, everything. He wanted to take care of all of it. And my car that was also given to me, when it started having mechanical issues, he and his wife bought me a new car with no hesitation. And 4 years later, as a graduation gift, he and his wife paid for me to pursue my master's degree. Today, I'm a licensed social worker with zero debt. My name is Patience, and I'm a living, breathing miracle.
I gave my life to Jesus when I was just a junior in high school, and I was so excited for what Jesus was going to do in my life and how He was going to use my testimony to change the lives of my friends and family. One day, I was driving down the highway and on my motorcycle, and a car didn't see me. It pulled out right in front of me, and the bike went on the side. I went underneath the car and came out the other side. Afterwards, I kind of just laid there, trying to figure out how badly I was hurt, knowing I had so much adrenaline pumping through my body that I just honestly may not know yet. My mom called the church and asked for them to pray for me, and even a couple of them showed up at the scene to pray for me there. When the ambulance got there, you can imagine their surprise when they found no major injuries whatsoever. In fact, so much so that they sent me home. But even with that, a couple weeks later, I ended up in the hospital with an appendicitis. After the surgery, though, after the appendix was removed, they came doing some scans. The doctor asked if I had had any major surgery lately, because it looked as if there was surgical scarring, as if someone had somehow gone in and performed surgery on me without ever opening me up. But not someone. I know my healer. The devil tried to stop me, he tried to kill me, but my God had other plans. My name is Skylar, and I'm a living, breathing miracle.
I've got a story to tell.
When I was little, I began to have violent intermittent reactions after eating. With no rhyme or reason, it was alarming that I could go from completely normal to totally sick within a matter of minutes. This continued, and I was taken to several doctors, and eventually went for a stay at Children's due to the escalating nature of my symptoms. A battery of tests revealed that I had a volatile intolerance to dairy. Milk, cream, cheese, it all produced a reaction that mimicked appendicitis. There was medicine the doctors were telling me that I could take, but the dosage that I was needing was growing at such a rapid rate, it just wasn't a long-term solution. One night, during church, a call was made for healing. And I knew that Jehovah Rapha could heal my body. So I raised my hand and was prayed over. Afterwards, I felt this tightening and releasing sensation in my stomach. I told my mom, and she said, I believe God is healing you. That night after church, I ate a cheeseburger. No reaction, and no reaction any day since. My name is Taylor, and I'm a living, breathing miracle.
I've got a story to tell.
When I first gave my life to the Lord, I was working in a job that made following Jesus difficult, and it left no time for my family at all. And every day seemed worse, but I knew God was calling me, asking me to do something different. And I knew without a doubt God gave me a vision and an opportunity for a business. But I also knew that it required a giant step of faith and total reliance on Him. So I prayed and I sought wise counsel, and I took that leap. But during my first year, I only had one employee besides myself. But I just wanted to make enough to provide for my family and still be there for them. But now, 18 months later, I have 2 crews, a salesman and a customer representative. I'm off work on every Sunday and Wednesday night to be in church with my family, right there beside them. And I am able to give men opportunities and second chances at life, just like Jesus did for me. God has blessed me and my family spiritually, emotionally, and financially. My name is Joe, and I'm a living, breathing miracle.
My youth pastor was always preaching that God was a healer. On a holiday break from school, I got very sick. I was lethargic, I had very high fever, and the stomach pain I felt was indescribable. My mom took me to the ER, and they tested, and they finally found that I had 2 cysts on both of my ovaries. They told me that they were so big that if they ruptured, that they could kill me. They said that they couldn't do anything other than medicate me and send me home to rest. Soon after I got there, the symptoms came back worse. Right before my mom got ready to take me back to the hospital, my youth pastor was prompted by the Holy Spirit to come and pray for me. She told me that she believed that I was going to be healed and that I was going to use it as a testimony, just like the woman with the issue of blood. We prayed, and I went back to the doctor, and they scanned me, and when the test results came back, they found that the cysts were gone. They were gone. They couldn't explain it, but I knew exactly what had happened. My name is Gracie, and I'm a living, breathing miracle.
I was injured one day working on my farm, and my family took me to the hospital, and the doctors ran test after test, trying to make sure I wasn't seriously injured. But what they found was cancer. A lot of it. I knew God was going to take care of me, and I prayed for His glory in it all. And you know what? He showed His favor every single day. He used doctors and treatments I had never even heard of to bring healing to my body. He worked every single thing for my favor, even in bringing light to the cancer that I wasn't supposed to know was there. God gave me opportunities to share my story with others and encourage them to look to Jesus in what feels like a hopeless situation. I shouldn't be alive, but I am today because of His goodness, because of His power, and because of His favor. And I've never walked alone, not for 1 minute. My name is Tim, and I am a living, breathing miracle.
I've got a story to tell.
After struggling with drug addiction for some time, I decided I was finished. I left my husband and 3 kids. No big announcement, no blow up, I just left. I was on a fast track to an early grave. And about a year after leaving, as lost as I had ever been, in a dire situation, my life was hanging in the balance. I can't tell you how He did it, but God miraculously saved me. Miracle after miracle, I could tell you, and I was hearing Him more clearly than I had ever heard anything before. He became more real to me than any addiction, anything, any event I had ever experienced. I gave my heart to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And not only did He restore me, He restored me to my family. And you'll find us every Sunday sitting on the front row at church. I changed so much, people even said I looked different. I am now the certified facilitator of our church's Recovery Now program, helping people with life-controlling problems just like I did. And if that wasn't enough, God also opened the door for our church to start working in the county jail, where we have Recovery Now classes and Bible studies, where I see people in the same circumstance that I was in, going through the same cycle, and they're given a new name and a new testimony and a new life because of Jesus Christ and the gospel. You see, He didn't make me good. I was dead. He made me alive. And I am a new creation because of Jesus Christ. My name is Angie, and I am a living, breathing miracle.
I've got a story to tell. I own a plumbing company, and one day while working under a house, I pulled muscles and ligaments that left me in excruciating pain. After a few weeks, I went to the doctors to see the extent of my injuries, and they found abnormalities with my testing. Another scan was ordered, and cancer lit up all over my body. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I knew that God was faithful as my wife battled cancer, and that He would do the same for me. I immediately called on my church family and my pastor to pray with me for God's healing touch. After a second scan was ordered and a meeting with an oncologist a few weeks after, my results returned. And no one could explain how, but every bit of cancer that was in my body, besides what was in my kidneys, just wasn't cancer. Suddenly, everything had changed, and no one could tell me how, but I knew. Not only had God brought healing to my body, but while I was out of work for months, He provided every single dollar that we needed and more. God is able to do abundantly more than we could possibly think or imagine. My name is Ed, and I am a living, breathing miracle.
I've got a story to tell. For more than 30 years, I worked as a police dispatcher for the city of Fort Smith. It was my job to help people in what was often their greatest time of need. For quite a few of those years, it wasn't illegal to smoke indoors, and I was often in closed rooms with secondhand smoke. After my retirement, I got sick with what I thought was bronchitis repeatedly over a few months. But the Lord then sent me to a doctor who felt that needed further testing. They found aggressive, stage 4 lung cancer. It was advanced, inoperable, and I was told to expect to live about 6 months. So believe me when I say that when Jesus found me, He really found me. And I knew that if He had held my hand all this way, if I had meant it when I surrendered my whole life to Him, If I had trusted him with all of my tomorrows when there seemed to be so many, I could trust him with all of my tomorrows when there seemed to be so few. I could stand here for hours and tell you just how many ways the Lord showed up for me after my diagnosis. Physically, financially, emotionally. But I think the most unexpected thing he did was give me some of the greatest ministry opportunities I've ever had. It's funny how the Lord will take what seems like an ending and create a beautiful new chapter. 8.5 years. God gave me 8.5 years to tell his story to the people I met, to witness to my family, to doctors and nurses, and to other patients. I lived 17.5 times longer than my prognosis, not because of my might, but because of his. There is power in the life truly lived for his glory. My final breath here was my first for the one who penned every word of my story, and he was worth it all. My name is Linda, and I am more alive today than I ever was here. And if you're hearing my story today, it's proof. The miracle worker is still doing what only he can do.
If you have breath in your lungs, God has a plan and a purpose for you. You are a living, breathing miracle, and you also have a story to tell.